Last night, you had an entire second life. You flew. You spoke to people who don't exist. You solved problems, felt fear, felt love. Then you woke up, and within 5 minutes, almost all of it was gone, deleted by your own brain, on purpose. Here's the strange part. You didn't dream for a few seconds before you woke up. Research shows you spend nearly 2 hours every single night in dream states, roughly a quarter of your entire sleep. That's not a glitch. That's not your brain idling. 2 full hours of vivid, structured experience, gone before your coffee finishes brewing. So the question isn't why you forget your dreams. The question is why your brain builds 2 hours of elaborate fiction every night, only to shred the evidence before you're even fully awake. For most of human history, nobody could answer that because nobody could even prove dreaming was happening measurably. That changed in 1953 at the University of Chicago. A graduate student named Eugene Oserinsky was studying his own son's sleep, and he noticed something odd on the recording equipment. The boy's eyes were darting rapidly back and forth underneath his closed eyelids, in bursts over and over. Oserinsky brought it to his supervisor, Nathaniel Kleitman, and together they had discovered what we now call REM sleep, rapid eye movement. When they woke people up during these bursts, almost everyone reported vivid dreams. When they woke people up outside these bursts, almost nobody did. For the first time, dreaming had a physical signature scientists could actually track. But here's what's fascinating. Discovering REM sleep didn't explain forgetting. It just gave scientists a stopwatch, and when they started timing things, the numbers were almost cruel. Studies tracking dream recall found that within 5 minutes of waking, people lose about half of what they dreamed. Within 10 minutes, they lose roughly 90%. This isn't a slow fade like an old memory losing detail over years. This is one of the fastest, most aggressive memory losses the human brain ever produces. And it happens to every single person, every single night, whether they remember a single fragment or not. So scientists went looking for the mechanism, and for decades, the leading suspect was chemistry. During REM sleep, your brain dramatically reduces its production of norepinephrine, a chemical closely tied to attention and memory encoding. It's one of the same chemicals your brain floods your system with when something happens that you need to remember. Without it, dreams are being generated in real time by an incredibly active brain, but that brain is simultaneously starved of the exact chemical it would normally use to file the experience away. You're essentially watching a movie inside a room with the recording equipment switched off. And honestly, what comes next is even stranger. In 2017, a team of researchers led by neuroscientist Francesca Ciclari used something called high-density EEG to look directly at what was happening in the brain during dreaming, not just during REM, but across all sleep stages, because by then scientists had realized dreaming happens more often than REM sleep alone. What she found was a specific pattern of reduced low-frequency activity in the back of the brain, in a region nicknamed the posterior hot zone. When that region lit up in a certain way, people reported dreaming. When it didn't, they reported nothing. It was one of the first times scientists could look at a sleeping brain and predict with real accuracy whether a person was dreaming at all before ever waking them up to ask. But knowing where dreams happen still didn't explain why they vanish. That answer came from a completely different angle, sleep's other job, cleaning house. Neuroscientists studying memory consolidation found that deep sleep is when your brain decides what from the day gets promoted into long-term storage and what gets discarded. REM sleep, it turns out, appears to run on almost the opposite logic. Some researchers now believe dreams are a kind of controlled noise. Your brain testing random combinations of memories, emotions, and imagery, looking for useful patterns and connections you'd never consciously think to make. If that's true, the dream itself was never the point. It was scaffolding, a process your brain needed to run, not a message it needed to save. Think about what that means. Every night, your brain runs an entire simulated existence, complete with characters, physical sensation, fear, love, tension, and it treats the experience itself as disposable because the experience was never the product. The product was whatever quiet reorganization happened underneath it. You are not watching the movie. You are the byproduct of the editing room. There's one more piece, and it might be the strangest one. The reason you sometimes do remember a dream isn't because your brain decided that one mattered. It's almost always because you woke up during it or immediately after. Waking up mid-dream interrupts the deletion process before it finishes, catching a fragment on its way out. That's why dreams recalled in the middle of the night feel sharp and detailed, while the ones you technically had hours hours earlier are already gone completely, not faded. Gone as if they never happened at all, which means the dreams you remember aren't your most important dreams. They're just the ones your alarm clock happened to interrupt. So here's what actually happened last night. Your brain built an elaborate, emotionally real experience for almost 2 hours, using a part of your mind we're only beginning to map. It stripped away the chemical tools it would normally use to save that experience, because saving it was never the goal. And by the time you were fully awake, 90% of it had already been erased, not lost, erased on purpose. As a feature, not a failure. Which raises an uncomfortable question. If your brain is capable of generating 2 hours of a vivid, alternate life every single night and discarding almost all of it without a second thought, how many other versions of you have existed for a few hours and then disappeared completely? Not remembered, not mourned, just deleted quietly while you slept, so that the one version of you that wakes up every morning could keep functioning as if nothing happened at all.